Alright, so we just got some huge news right now. So yes, Sonic Superstars, the upcoming classic Sonic game coming out in October, is about to get, or has just gotten a huge drop from GameInformer. If you remember GameInformer, they got drops for Sonic Frontiers back last year. Building up to the game, they got exclusive information, and the same thing is happening here once again with Sonic Superstars. So we're going into all this right now. But subscribe to the channel already. Please make sure to subscribe. Oh wait, hold on. You mean to tell me that you have a phone and you haven't checked out Bloodline? Wait, you don't even know what Bloodline is? The ultimate fantasy RPG experience in visually stunning 3D realistic graphics. You can raise heirs with companions. You get to build your own kingdom and economy with strategic gameplay. And in between that gameplay, beautiful scenes and interesting storylines. So make sure to download the game now for free on both Android and iOS by using my link in the description below, or you can scan the QR code on the screen right now. And if you use my link or QR code, you'll get a special starter pack worth $20 the moment you get the game. So, what are we talking about here? So first they start off by teasing their cover reveal, basically saying that they're going to be getting exclusive information on Sonic Superstars, and there's a ton of info coming, basically. And they're trying to sell some kind of cover, like magazine or whatever the fuck they're trying to do to get people to pay money for classic Sonic news, really. But yes, they're trying to tease that. But in an effort to tease that, they dropped the full article, and that's what we're going to be checking out here. And it says here, an exclusive look at every Emerald Power. So we can see here, they're going through the whole shit. I want to go through all this, so let's go. The announcement of Sonic Superstars sparked excitement among the fanbase thanks to the return of the 2D style of gameplay found in the beloved retro entries in the franchise, but complemented with gorgeous modern visuals. The gameplay is very much like an homage to those games that primarily lived on the Genesis, but the developers artists of the Sonic team are adding various new elements to Sonic Superstars to expand on the classic gameplay fans are looking forward to. They really started recreating those classic physics and making sure the game had the classic physics in there. The Sonic team creator Izuka says, after we got the physics working right, he said, okay, we now need to work on the level design because the level design is very specific and we need it to feel like a classic game from a level design standpoint. After studying the level design, after getting the physics in and both of those were working together, then we started saying, okay, now what can we do new and how can we implement that in? In addition to elements like the 4-player co-op, which apparently is new to the world of gaming, well, it's new to classic Sonic, I guess, and various new gimmicks throughout the game zones, Sonic Superstars also introduces players to Emerald Powers. These all-new powers grant Sonic and his friends special abilities for Chaos Emeralds they obtain through the special stages. In Sonic Superstars special stages, you swing from floating bubbles toward your goal. If you enter through a giant gold ring, like in Sonic 3 and Knuckles, your award is a Chaos Emerald. If you enter through a giant blue ring, you can earn medals. Regardless of the prize, the mission is the same. Swing from floating bubbles towards the moving objective. While most of the bubbles simply factor in your momentum and point of release, others can stop you there in your tracks, while others can still send you flying toward the goal. So we gotta look at some kind of lava zone here with Knuckles. That's interesting. We should keep an eye on that. Emerald Power Inspiration. Unlike past entries where you only receive the benefits of collecting Chaos Emeralds once you gather all 7, Sonic Superstars gives you shorter term satisfaction. We wanted to say, how can we reward someone for getting just one? I mean, if it was Shadow, you could have done a lot with just one, I'm just saying. But, you know, we're not allowed to put Shadow in there, it's a classic game. And if we reward someone for getting just one, that will motivate people to get each individual one and see what they are. So part of the new ideas and how Emerald Powers started was in that process of trying to get people excited about getting each individual Emerald. Each Chaos Emerald offers distinct Emerald powers, and all powers are available to each playable character. These powers are selected with the right stick and operate on a cooldown, with each star post checkpoint replenishing your cooldown meter. Okay, so you can't abuse it, basically. The overarching idea for Emerald Powers draws inspiration from the Wisp mechanic found in the modern series, starting with Sonic Color. People that said that I was reaching by saying it was a Wisp wheel, when Izuka himself said it before this, because he said it again, but he said it in a previous interview, they're based off the Wisp, okay? There's nothing wrong with admitting that, okay? I don't know why people were so, it's not the Wisp, it's the Wisp, okay? Relax. They just didn't use the actual Wisp, because that wouldn't be classic enough, right? So they gotta use the Chaos Emeralds because those existed in the classic games, but they're Wisps. However, there's one key difference with Emerald powers. In Colors, you need to use the Wisp in order to get around in the level and complete the game, but we didn't want that to be a part of the Superstars game. As Zuka says, we wanted the classic Sonic gameplay to still remain true. So when we're looking at the Emerald powers and the Wisp, we wanted to make sure you could still beat Superstars without having to use any of the powers, which is what we needed to balance the game during design. Which, I mean, there's a difference between beating the game and completing the game. Completing sounds like 100%ing. Beating is like getting to the end. And Colors, for the most part, you can beat without using any Wisp. You just won't really get... Like, a lot of the Red Rings, you probably need Wisps. But just getting to the end, you can pretty much do like over 90% of the game without Wisp, I believe. Like, the final boss obviously forces you to use the Wisp, but effectively, you don't need the Wisp to beat Colors. And they even said that when they were promoting Colors, that you don't need the Wisp to beat the game. So now they're acting like the Wisp were like a necessity in Colors. And to be fair, Colors isn't really that fun unless you're going for the Red Rings, because the game is piss easy, especially if you're not getting Red Rings. So you kind of want to get the Red Rings, which means you kind of have to use the Wisp, but it was not a requirement, so I don't know why they're kind of twisting that story there. But anyway, full list of Sonic Superstars Emerald powers. Each Emerald power in Sonic Superstars is tied to a specific Chaos Emerald, and while we don't know the exact order they are unlocked, we know every single Emerald power that Sonic and his friends will have at their disposal. Sadly, there are only 7 Chaos Emeralds. Oh, I don't know why that's sad. You want 50? And Izuka shoots me down when I float the idea of Super Emeralds, enabling them to expand the arsenal. So several ideas were left on the chopping block. We're not doing Hypersonic again. It's not happening. We actually had lots and lots of ideas about what kind of powers we could put into the game, but as you know, there are only 7 Chaos Emeralds, and we needed each of the powers to be associated with an emerald, so there are only 7 powers we could... I don't know why they were acting like this is a sad thing, okay? The people making this game are the same people that are working on Balan Wonderworld, okay? And I had like 50 million different powers in it, and they were just repeating the same things over and over and over again. And everyone was like, why is there so many powers? Strip it down to a smaller core amount of powers, and refine them. They're doing exactly that here, and you're like... Sadly, there's not 14 powers. How many do you need? Okay? Like, how many? I'm just saying. Anyway, so of all the ideas, we had to whittle it down to only 7. And unfortunately, we did have some really interesting ideas, but we could have put them in the game because it would have gone over that 7. Check out the powers that did make it into the final game below. So we got Avatar. And thankfully, that's not some Forces OC shit. Avatar allows you to create clones of your character and send them speeding across the screen, defeating nearly any enemy in their path. This is particularly useful when outnumbered by badniks or overpowered by a challenging boss. In my experience with Avatar, saving it for a boss's final form is extremely wise. Avatar has the most visual impact of any of the ideas. Izuka says it calls on various avatars, you know, other Sonics or other Tails are going to come in and defeat all the enemies when you use it. And it can be used to get yourself out of trouble if you're about to die, just to get past that enemy to make sure you're living longer. It's really one of the more fun emerald powers to use, and this is for the blue emerald. Basically a less cool Team Blast, but it does a similar thing basically. So yeah, the Team Blast. Bullet. What's this one? Red Emerald. Bullet allows you to blast your character in a specified direction. I found this helpful in both tricky platforming sequences as well as boss battles where your goal is just out of reach. Bullet, just as the name is being able to shoot or project Sonic in mid-air, as Zuka says, like Ripperuka doing Crash Team Rumble. When you jump in mid-air using the Bullet Emerald power, you can stop and make a decision mid-air what direction you want to launch yourself into. And then you can change direction, or you can go in a different direction, or continue forward in the direction you want to go in and shoot your character further in that direction. So extremely useful action. It's probably the most useful action for this kind of game. So this sounds like a kind of canon thing, but because you can do it in the air, it's more like the laser wisp. Like you can just engage that anywhere in colors and it'll just shoot you somewhere and it bounces around. Seems like it's building up on the laser wisp on this one. Alright, what's the next one? Water. Alright. Cyan Emerald. Using the water emerald power, characters can more easily traverse underwater areas and even climb up waterfalls. So look, that's a picture of Sonic, the water. It looks like that fucking, you know that wisp in Sonic Runners? The Cyan Wisp. Yeah, Cyan Emerald, Cyan, yeah. While not applicable in every zone, using this in appropriate places could yield amazing results. Water turns the player character into water, and once you're in that water form, you can swim up waterfalls, or if you land in water, you'll be able to run around freely in there because you are water along with the water. That's a lot of water. I feel like I'm listening to Ugly God. It does help out not only getting up waterfalls, but also when you're in these underwater areas. One thing to note is there are some levels that don't have water, so it's not going to be a really useful power everywhere, which is fine. Not every power is going to be useful in every section, right? But it does, once again, remind me of Colors, right? Because in Colors, they did this weird thing where like you could have these 2D underwater levels, but you weren't tethered to the ground like you would be with regular physics. Like you could just keep jumping when you're underwater and just jump your way out. So it's like you had more control of what you could do underwater. And I think that's kind of what they're building upon here, effectively. What's next? Ivy. So that's the green emerald. Ivy lets you grow vines from where your character stands to help you reach new areas. You can direct where they grow, and if you're playing co-op, your teammates can use your Ivy to reach new areas as well. Okay, just like the name says, when you use the Ivy power, an Ivy vine is going to grow out of the ground and start growing upwards, as Zuko says. It allows you to get to higher places that maybe you couldn't get to just by jumping, but that's what's really interesting about it, is using it in multiplayer mode. You can use the Ivy power to help your cooperative teammates get to the places you can get to, and by using the Ivy, you can cooperate and get to places together. You know what this reminds me of? I've forgotten the name of the shit, but those of you who play Mega Man, you know that thing that you use in Mega Man where it gives you like the spring instantly? This is what this kind of reminds me of. It's like that kind of shit, but you have to like climb up some beanstalk Ivy thing. But yeah, it's like the thing where you get the spring and it just takes you somewhere. And you can use it wherever you want. What's next? Vision. Purple emerald. Okay, what's this? As teased in an earlier trailer for Sonic Superstars, players can activate Vision whenever they have a sneaking suspicion that there might be something beyond what is currently visible. In a previous trailer, we saw Vision reveal hidden platforms and rings, and Zuko says this power really plays into the replayability aspect of the way these stages were designed. I really like Vision, as Zuko says. Out of context, this could be about Marvel. I mean, Vision was fire though. It allows you to see the unseeable or see things that you couldn't see without using the power. When using Vision, you'll notice that before, where there wasn't a platform to jump on or rings to get, there now is a platform you can see and land on, and there are rings that you can jump and collect. It's really great for stage exploration, so even after you've gone through the game once, going back and playing it again with Vision allows you to see places you didn't know existed before, and find these new areas and locations to get because you're using the Vision Emerald power. Well, you have to replay the game for that. Wouldn't you be able to just get the Emerald and just use it on your first playthrough? But okay. Since the Emerald power is built around seeing hidden objects in the environment, players might have a challenging time knowing when to use the power. However, developers have already thought about this. Obviously, if you can't see it in the first place, you don't know to use it, as Zuko says. It's kind of like making sure people understand how to use the powers. This is something that the team went in and said, you know, we really want to make sure people are aware of the times when they should be using something, especially if it's like Vision and you can't see it in the first place. So automatically, there'll be an indicator that pops up that will tell you, oh hey, if you use Vision right now, there may be something around here that you can find. This kind of auto indicator will pop up and let you know or give you a good sense of when you should be using some of the Emerald powers. It's kind of like the Sonic Heroes thing, where like there's a section where you need to use Knuckles, and then Knuckles will say like, I got it, or some shit like that. Or in the earlier levels, they just put the screen there and make it bait, you know. In the later levels, they start doing that a bit less. In Super Hard Mode, they barely do it. It's like, figure it out. You made it this far, right? But yeah, I'll be fine if it's something like they tell you earlier on, and then later on they're like, figure it out. But if it's just every single time they're supposed to use Vision, hey, you can use Vision here, then it's kind of like, what's the point? I'm not discovering anything new. They're just telling me when to turn on Vision Shade, and then it's there. Like, I want to have that element of, well, I didn't check there, and then you check there and there's something there. It's like, oh shit, I didn't know that was going to be there, kind of thing. But yeah, Vision is basically like, you remember the shades in SA2, right? They were shades, right? Because I remember Mario Odyssey did it as well. Like the shades where you can see shit that wasn't visible before. But yeah, it's kind of like that. And then we've got Slow, the yellow emerald. Slow, as the name implies, slows down everything on screen. This could be used for tricky boss battles or just difficult platforming sequences where you need more time to react. So it's like an easy mode kind of emerald. Slow is exactly what it says it is. It's going to slow down everything on the screen. As Zuko says, you can enter this slow motion kind of movement or moments, and because you're not moving in slow motion, you get to look at things that maybe are moving very fast and get a better sense of the timing when you want to be reacting to traps or if a boss is attacking. You can use slow, and you can slow the boss attacks down and really get more comfortable with how to strategically avoid or attack action around these things that have been slowed down. It really slows down the game to allow you to play at a pace that's maybe more comfortable. Isn't this what that 06 gem tried to do? Like that kind of like slow everything down, but you still move faster. Well, 06 actually, I think you slowed down with it. I can't even remember. It's been a while, but yeah, something like that basically. Even games like Celeste have these 50% modes and things to make things easier. Probably not gonna need this personally, but we'll see, right? And then we got the extra white emerald. Though all emerald powers are universal, the final unlock opens up a character-specific ability. All of the characters use the emerald powers in the same way, and all of the emerald powers react to the characters in the same way. But extra is different and special in that depending on what character you're using, extra allows a different kind of action for those specific characters, as Zuko says. Because of this, you can choose what character you're going to play with, and when you use the extra power, the power will be unique to that character. So like Sonic Rivals kind of thing, where it's like, you know, you got like all the regular power-ups and you got your own unique special attack kind of thing. So Sonic has the homing attack. When the extra emerald power is active for Sonic, players can move one of modern Sonic's most iconic abilities to Classic Sonic's repertoire. Classic Sonic does not do the homing attack, but when he has the extra emerald power active, Classic Sonic now has a homing attack, as Zuko says. So how does that work? If there's like a wheel and you select the emerald, is it like you have to open the wheel to do a homing attack and then to do another one you open it again? Or does it open and then you use it for like 20 seconds and then it runs out and you can't use it until it recharges? I don't know how that's going to work, but okay, we got a homing attack. Amy has a hammer throw. Amy's extra emerald power plays off on one of her defining gameplay characteristics. For Amy, when she uses the emerald power, she's able to throw her hammer and attack enemies by throwing the hammer instead of just hitting with the hammer. Okay, Knuckles gets the punch. Knuckles' use of the extra emerald power transforms perhaps his most defining visual characteristics into gameplay within the classic series. When active, the Red Echidna can add punches to his already larger set of abilities. Tails has the tornado spin. When Tails uses extra, he gains an ability called Tornado Spin. When I heard that name, I thought it could mean he spins really fast and whacks enemies with his twin tails, or maybe he summons his iconic plane to do something. However, it's neither of those. Tails will actually create a tornado, as Zuko says. The tornado will follow the ground and just continue on that path and take out enemies in the way. Okay, that's kind of interesting. The extra emerald power must still be selected and activated the same as the other powers, so if you don't want to use, for example, Sonic's homing attack, it is completely optional. They're just making sure the classic fans don't get too angry. Like, we put the homing attack there, but it's optional, you can avoid it, basically, you know? But yes, you have to select it just like the other powers, so you can just ignore it if you want to ignore it. And then we got the Super Complete Collection, so as with most games that include the Chaos Emeralds, once you collect all 7 of them, you gain access to the ability to turn into a super version of your character. Each character can turn super, okay, and their movesets remain the same. For example, Tails doesn't gain superpowered flickies as he did in Sonic 3 and Knuckles. Instead, each character turns invincible and becomes faster with rings depleting over time. What's going to be a little bit different is usually in the classic series, you get all 7 Chaos Emeralds, and then when you have a certain amount of rings and you're double jumping, you're automatically transformed into Super Sonic. But we're changing that up a little bit. And once you get all 7 Chaos Emeralds, you can still choose what power you want to be using. Mania already did this. They're like acting like they're changing it because they're talking to people that only played their games in the 90s, I guess. You can select from the selection wheel what emerald power you want to use at that specific time, not necessarily automatically turning to Super Sonic or Super Form. When the reveal trailer showcased the 4 heroes and a chunky pixelated art style running through a high-tech stage before turning into squid-like creatures, some assumed that it was also an emerald power. However, as Zuko clarifies, that particular mechanic is specific to that stage. That was the Geometry Dash level, basically. Sonic Superstars arrives on PS5, Xbox Series X and S, PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC this fall. For more on this upcoming 2D adventure, you can check out GameInformer. But yeah, what are my thoughts on this, okay? I mean, I like it, right? The Emerald powers, because usually with classic games, they're so scared to do anything different that they're just like, keep it in the classic box. And I'm glad they're doing something. Like, I mean, obviously they have the real branding, but I'm glad they're doing something that's just not copying the classics. Like, yeah, I mean, it's taken from other Sonic games, like other modern games. Like, a lot of these elements are in past modern Sonic titles. Like, the homing attack was technically a classic element first, but it's most known from, like, Adventure 1. But a lot of these other elements are, like, things that were from the Whis or similar to gems in 06 or elements in the Adventure games, like the shades and things like that. So, it's like, yeah, these are new abilities. But at the end of the day, abilities are one thing. It's how you use them that really matters. Will the level design accommodate these well? Will they be fun to use? Or are they just some gimmick that will get boring quick, right? Like, how well utilized are they going to be? It's like the team mechanic in Heroes, right? They really leaned on the mechanic. Like, they went in on the mechanic. That's why it's so great. But then, there's only like one level in Hero, or like two, that you can pretty much easily beat without not using like the other characters. And I'll say like Grand Metropolis is that level, like you can just beat it with Sonic on its own. Seaside Hill you technically can, but it's a slightly tougher than Grand Metropolis if you're doing just Sonic. But they really wanted you to use all the characters. They don't want it to be like you could just spam one character and win. And I hope that the Emerald powers are like integral to level design, although Izuku is saying here that they're not integral, that you can still beat without it, because I guess they don't want to piss off the classic fans who feel like it will get in the way of their precious classic gameplay. So we'll see how integral it is. I'm guessing we'll be collecting red rings or some form of collectible that will make it more important, like having these powers. But only time will tell, man. Let me know what you guys think about all of this. Which power sounds like your favorite power? I mean, for me, like, I think Vision sounds cool. Ivy sounds alright. Water sounds like it'll be alright. Bullet's just Laser Wisp. Avatar, yeah, I mean, we'll see, right? We'll see which power ends up being my favorite. But, I mean, only time will tell. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell. And, of course, make sure to check out the non-Sonic channel. The link will be in the description. But that's all I have to say right now. So, Premy out.